Forests can be peaceful, beautiful places, but they also hold secrets most of us will never understand. The deeper you go, the more you realize that not everything out there wants to be found, and sometimes, it's better that way. These are 3 true stories from people who went into the woods, and came back with something they'll never forget. Story 1. My name is Sky. I'm 34 now, but this happened when I was around 27. I've always loved hiking, camping, being out in nature in general. It's something I used to do every few weekends, just grab a tent, some essentials, and disappear into the woods for a few days. It gave me peace. One weekend, I chose a spot I hadn't explored before. It was a dense forest area, accessible only by an old, mostly forgotten trail. I parked my car by the edge of a gravel road and hiked in with my gear. I remember it was colder than usual, with that crisp air that settles in just before autumn starts. The trees were tall and close together, their branches knitting into a thick canopy above me. I barely saw the sky once I was a few hundred feet in. I set up camp in a small clearing, surrounded by trees but with just enough space for my tent and a small fire pit. That first day was quiet, birds, squirrels, the wind moving through the branches. Everything felt normal. That night, I woke up to what I thought was the sound of footsteps. Not animal footsteps, but slow, deliberate ones, like someone walking carefully through the woods, not far from my tent. I froze, listening. They stopped after maybe 10 seconds. No voices, no rustling, just silence again. I told myself it could have been a deer. Or my imagination. I forced myself back to sleep. The next day I decided to do a bit of exploring. I left camp and walked for maybe 2 hours deeper into the woods. Around noon, I stumbled across something that didn't make sense. There was a clearing. But this one wasn't natural. The trees had been cut, clean, straight cuts, and arranged into a near-perfect circle. In the center, there was a single wooden chair. Just a plain, worn-out chair. Facing a tree. There were no other signs of life around. No trash, no paths, nothing disturbed. Just this unsettling little setup. I didn't go near it. I took a photo with my phone, which weirdly crashed right after, and then I turned around and headed back to camp. That night was worse. I had just started to doze off when I heard something again. Not footsteps this time, but a dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled through leaves and dirt. It circled my tent slowly. Not once, but twice. I didn't dare move. I didn't unzip the tent. I just lay there, heart pounding, listening. The dragging stopped right behind my tent. Then there was silence. I must have passed out from sheer exhaustion or fear, because the next thing I remember was the sun coming through the thin fabric of my tent. I stepped outside and found nothing. No tracks. No signs of anything being dragged. But I swear, there was a faint smell in the air. Like wet copper. Blood. I packed my stuff and started walking back immediately. But about halfway back, I passed by a tree I didn't recognize. It had markings on it, symbols scratched into the bark. They looked almost like runes or glyphs. Not random. Not animal markings. I didn't take photos. I just kept walking. I never told anyone about that trip, not even close friends. But I haven't gone back to that area since. And I haven't camped alone in years. Not after that. Because whatever I stumbled into out there, it wasn't supposed to be found. And I think it knew I saw it. Story 2. My name is Brendo. This happened in 2021, and I still don't know how to fully explain it. I'm not someone who believes in ghosts or monsters or any of that. But something happened to me in the woods, and ever since, I haven't looked at nature the same way. I was on a solo camping trip, something I used to do often to clear my head. I picked a national forest area that was known for being remote but still legal to camp in. I did all the right things, told a friend where I'd be, packed extra food, brought a satellite phone in case I lost service. The first day was uneventful. The area was beautiful. Towering pines, a narrow creek running through, thick moss covering the rocks. I found a nice spot by the water and set up camp. I even started a small fire and cooked dinner before settling into my tent. Around 2 a.m., I woke up. Not because of a sound, but because it suddenly felt wrong. I know how that sounds. But I mean it literally. The air inside the tent felt thick, like the pressure dropped. My ears were popping. I sat up and listened. Nothing. No wind, no crickets. Just dead silence. Then I heard it, a high-pitched whistle. Not musical. Not a bird. Just one long, sustained whistle coming from deeper in the forest. Then another, closer. And then silence again. I didn't move. I just waited, barely breathing. Then I heard the sound of something stepping into the creek nearby. One step. Two. Then silence again. I stayed like that for what felt like an hour, but probably was 15 minutes. Eventually, I must have passed out because the next thing I remember was waking up to daylight. I walked over to the creek, thinking maybe a deer had come through. But the tracks weren't right. The impressions in the mud were longer than any hoof I've ever seen. Almost like human feet, but wider. Bare. No shoes. No claws. Just long. I spent the whole day trying to shake it off. Maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe some hiker was messing with me. But I couldn't explain the tracks. Or the whistling. That night I barely slept. I kept hearing soft clicking sounds, like someone tapping stones together. Sometimes near the trees. Sometimes behind the tent. Never constant. Just random and sharp. When the sun came up, I decided to cut the trip short. As I packed up, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Hanging from a tree near my site, about 10 feet up, was a bundle of sticks, tied together with what looked like a shoelace. It was hanging in the shape of a triangle. I hadn't seen it when I arrived. I would have noticed something like that. I didn't touch it. I just left. On my way back, maybe 30 minutes from the trailhead, I heard the whistle again, behind me, far off in the trees. This time it sounded mocking. Almost playful. I didn't look back. I just walked faster until I reached my car. I haven't gone camping since. People always ask why I stopped. I tell them I got bored of it. But the truth is, something followed me out of those woods. I feel it sometimes, even now, when I'm alone, or when the world goes quiet. Like I'm being watched. Like something remembers me. And it's waiting. Story 3. My name is Fabian. I used to work as a freelance environmental surveyor, which meant spending a lot of time alone in remote areas, recording wildlife and vegetation patterns for conservation groups. Most of it was peaceful. Sometimes boring. But one job changed the way I see the woods, permanently. This happened in the summer of 2020. I was assigned to survey a stretch of forest that hadn't been officially cataloged in decades. The area was dense, isolated, and barely touched by people. Exactly the kind of place I loved working in. I hiked in about 6 miles before setting up camp near a stream. Everything looked normal at first. Quiet. Peaceful. But even on the first night, something felt strange. I couldn't explain it. The forest was too quiet. No owls. No bugs. Just stillness, like the whole place was holding its breath. Around 3 a.m., I woke up in my tent to the sound of something crunching leaves just outside. Not fast. Just slow, deliberate steps circling my tent. I didn't move. I've encountered animals before, bears, coyotes, and I knew to stay calm. But what disturbed me was how long it lingered. It circled twice. Then stopped. Then I heard something brush lightly against the side of the tent, like fingers. Human fingers. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, I found no tracks. No signs of anything being near my tent. Just undisturbed pine needles. I told myself I was sleep-deprived and pushed on. The second night, I stayed in a different spot, deeper in. And that's when it got worse. Just after midnight, I started hearing a sound like breathing, heavy, but controlled, from somewhere past the trees. I turned off my lantern and sat still. The breathing went on for maybe a minute, then stopped. And then I heard the voice. It whispered my name. Not shouted. Not muttered. Whispered. Fabian. I froze. My name isn't common. No one knew I was out there except my employer. I didn't respond. I just grabbed my flashlight and stayed inside the tent, waiting for it to speak again. But nothing happened. No more sounds. Just a thick, unnatural silence. At sunrise, I packed everything and started hiking out. That's when I noticed something that nearly made me throw up. Hanging from a tree branch about 10 feet up was a dead bird, stripped of feathers, tied with a strip of fabric that looked disturbingly similar to the inside lining of a tent. My tent. I walked faster. About halfway back, I saw a carving in one of the trees near the path. It wasn't initials or anything casual. It was a crude symbol, a circle with a vertical slash through it, and 3 dots beneath. I'd never seen anything like it before. No animals. No people. No signs of life. Just that symbol. And the feeling of being watched. I got in my truck and left without looking back. That was 4 years ago. I never reported it. I figured no one would believe me. Hell, I barely believe it. But here's the part that still messes with me. 2 weeks after I left, a wildfire swept through that entire stretch of forest. No cause was found. Just spontaneous ignition, miles from any campsite or trail. Sometimes I wonder, whatever was in those woods, maybe it didn't want to be found. And maybe it made sure it wouldn't be. There's something about the forest that humbles you. It makes you feel small, like you're trespassing in a place that doesn't belong to you. And maybe, just maybe, you are. If you've ever experienced something strange in the woods, let us know. Until then, stay safe, and stay out of the dark.